Hi there, this is just going to be an overview video of an add-on I've just written. Here's said add-on. This is the very first add-on I've ever attempted to write, so full disclosure, I wrote it pretty much based around things I found useful, processes I tend to do, things like importing files from Sketchfab or OBJ or 3ds files. The latter obviously coming through something like 279, because 2.8 plus onwards don't have it for 3ds import. Anywho, that's an aside. So some of these functions were pretty much everything I found useful at the time. Things like clearing split normals, putting the auto smoothing at a given angle, doing a bit of tidy up, merging doubles, converting tries to quads, etc. And the key reason I wrote it really was the ability to run either an external script, Python script from a button, or to run a existing text block from a button, rather than having to do this, having a scripting panel open and then clicking this. So at the moment this isn't actually installed as an add-on on my system, but you just install it the normal way, go to preferences and install from file. So let's take a look-see, and it should come in something like this or like that, depending on, I think it's like this. And I've just got a view files here which sort of demonstrate what's going to go on with it. Also scripting wise, I have several files, several small scripts, and I'll go into them in a bit, and they're really just one or two processes, like these here. They're nothing super special, but they're all sort of little things that you can sort of build, for want of a better expression, macros, and then you can run them. Now I haven't tried this, but in theory, because this is a button, I should be able to assign it a shortcut. No, I can't assign a shortcut. Oh, that's a shame. I must look into that, whether I can assign a key map or not. Anyway, that's something for maybe something else for me to learn. But it at least puts it on a button, so I can just concentrate on having this open. So the first one is smoothing, and really this is pretty straightforward. You set your auto smooth angle. Got a couple of presets here. That one's simply just if you want to take something like that, and then if you set the object smoothing, will apply it, which is just saving, choosing set shade smooth, and then going here, clicking on auto smooth and setting the value. If I unclick that, it'll apply it to all objects. So if I do that, set object smoothing, or I can manually put a value in there, or I can untick that. Oh, helps if I reselect the big value, and it does everything. So for 10, you can see the changes here. So you can play with this, and you can smooth all your objects if you have a mind to. Okay, like I say, that applies for both this version and the cleanup. Now the mesh cleanup is probably best seen with the wireframes on. So if you hover over it, it does give you a rough idea. Tries to quads, merge doubles and set normals. So if I select that, then it just does that little bit of cleaning up. If I select it, do it on this one, doesn't really appear to do anything because there's no obvious thing. But if I sort of go in here, do that, then rip those edges and do mesh cleanup, go back in, you can see that it's welded them back. And if I include limited dissolve and then hit that, you can see that it sorts that sort of thing out. The dissolve angle, I can ramp that up. Take it further. You can see it starts to have an impact on it. If we put it across all objects, you can see the impact or damage depending on your point of view. So we'll just go back to where we were. So the mesh cleanup. Another thing is object name to mesh name. I don't know about you, but when you start to get in of naming things and you're trying to give you names, but you inevitably tend to forget to name your mesh. So again, same thing, selected object. If I do object name to mesh, it does it to the, take that off, does it to everything. It's the same if we go in, we have materials. Just add a couple. Alright, go in here and select everything and assign it to material. Now I can go clear unused materials and it gets rid of them. You can see now it's only got that. Clear split normals is pretty straightforward. As I say, a lot of files you get off the net in the geometry section under geometry data, you'll have custom normals. So if I add custom normals, I just hit that, it just clears them. Another thing is just adding a bevel modifier, and I've just set this at a generic value. Again, selected objects only. I add a bevel modifier, and I just chose a random value that I found useful for me. Again, as I say, this was written primarily for myself, and I'm just putting it out there for anyone else who might find it useful. But if I uncheck that, then I can add bevel to all the objects, which is again pretty much the same as if I go in here and I clear that out, invert everything, select that. It's the same as doing that. It'd be the same as me applying a modifier to that, changing it, and inverting it, selecting it, and applying modifiers to them all in the same way. So again, it's just something that speeds matters up. The bevel modifier is just tidy, as you can see. If I undo that, make it selected only, dump, dump. So that's that. Right, so that's all the cleanup side of it. Pretty straightforward. The script is where it's all at for me. I've just got two things. You can either select a script file. So if you go to where your various scripts are, like that, I can go in and I can run the script. Let's see what that's actually doing. I don't even know what that's supposed to be doing. Should really have checked that first, shouldn't I? I might be asking. Let's have a look. Where are we? QU. Wait. QU. There we go. Quick insert. Right. Yeah, that's not working on that because that's got multiple faces. Let's just add a new circle. G over here. that a face. Right, so let's go back. With that selected, let's run the script. I've not I've selected my insetter there, not quick insetter. That might have something to do with it. Just like that. As I say, there's no checking going on here apart from seeing if it's got an import BPY in it. So it at least thinks it's a script. So if the script does something funky or import BPY is part of text, it'll have a bash it running it. So expect to see errors if you deliberately run something it can't. There we go. What that's basically doing is insetting, inverting the selection, deleting the faces. And so it's, you can see it's basically shrinking that. Or you can go in here and you can select an existing text block, and I've named these accordingly so that at least makes sense what I'm up to. So one's a bevel, one's an inset, it's just an inset and then a drop down, one inset and extrudes. And the theory behind this is you build up your own set of macros, then you can save them with your base file, with your default file, and then you can just run them whenever you want. So like for example here, if I select inset, I process the text block, you can see you're doing that, and then if I change that to inset and extrude, see that's doing something different. And then I can select bevel, and then I can go in here, and the thing now is, because I've set this up in a script, I know all of these bevels are going to get exactly the same size thing. So you can build up a list of commands. So let's say for example, let's do one with this actually, and I'll show you how you build these macros up. So go into scripting, give yourself a new window, and we're going to call this window build. We always need import BPY, that's why I check for it. Then let's go in, we'll select this cube here, we'll select this face, and you see everything that's happening. If you're in the scripting mode, everything that's happening is here. So I can inset like that, so that's that command. Then I can extrude like that, then I can inset again, and then I can delete that face. Right, so what I have now is all these actions. So make sure I select them in a suitable order. So we start with the inset, copy that, paste it there, copy that, paste it there. You can select multiples, so you select those two, copy, paste. So that's now called window build, and if I save this file, that text file is in it. So I can switch over back to the layout view, and we can just again go in, select that face, select window build, process it. Now you see it's honouring the direction rather than an inset, so that's something to be aware of when you build these. So for example, if I set this is going to go horribly wrong because it's trying to do it on that. So when you're building your macros, think about what you're doing. I will show you how I would probably realistically do that. And I'd use the inset with the control key, and then no matter where I did it, it would work. So I would inset, then I'll go inset but hold the control, then inset, hold the control, and then delete the face. So select that up to there, copy them, paste it into there. Right, and so now when I come back to this one, select that face, select that face. So you can imagine then if you have, if we had, let's add a cube. So you can imagine, say you had a row of windows like that, and I can just bump, bump, bump. So it's just a way of quickly actioning something. Really simple. As I say, the reset is just, that will clear out the file. If you attempt to run it with nothing there, it'll say there's no file selected. If you attempt to run where it's just text with no import BPY, it'll tell you it's not found that. But if you have that import BPY somewhere in your text, it will still try to run it. There are no way of determining what is a truly valid script, because it depends on what mode you're in. Obviously something like the insetter, if I try to run that now in this mode, you can see I get an error because it's trying to run it in object mode, and the actual little bit of file itself, it just naturally assumes you're in edit mode with something selected. So, you know, beware of that. I mean, likewise, if I go into edit mode and don't select out, you know, nothing's really taken place because there's nothing selected. And if I've accidentally selected everything, then you can get some strange results going on. So I say that's the idea behind it for me, is I can have all of these little bits and bobs and I can run them and it'll get the job done. And but instead of having to come over here and run it, I can just choose them and run them directly from here. That's and as I say, if anyone else finds this useful, well, happy days. If you find it useful enough that you think it's worth spending money on, I'll include a link in the description. Go to gentleshortwildlife.co.uk and donate to the Wildlife Centre. It's a bird of prey hospital I've been involved with for the last 2 decades, and they need all the help they can get in looking after wild and injured birds of prey and unwanted other animals. So that's it. Enjoy, and if you find this useful, please do let me know in the comments. Bye for now.